all of us can play a powerful and engaged part at this, the most pivotal moment in human history.
Hi, I'm Christiana Figueres. I have been working on climate change for longer than you would care to know. First, as a negotiator of the Climate Convention from my home country, Costa Rica, from which I am speaking today, and then undertaking several responsibilities at the international level, including delivering the Paris Agreement in 2015.
My name is Tom Rivett-Carnac. I was the head of political strategy for the Paris Agreement working with Christiana, and I've continued to collaborate with her ever since. We run a podcast together called Outrage and Optimism, and we recently co-authored the book, The Future We Choose.
The book is meant to be a helpful guide to what each of us as individuals can do to contribute to climate solutions. Yes, of course, we need systemic policies and financial investments that are also going to help. But as we have learned from coronavirus, we need both systemic changes as well as individual behavior changes. We need both. Every one of us should know what our carbon footprint is. Usually we check our bank account at least once a week to know how we're doing on our bank account. We should also know how we're doing on our carbon account. And if you don't know what your carbon footprint is, it's pretty simple to find out. You go to Google, you type in carbon calculator, and up comes a long list of carbon calculators that have been put up by many reputable institutions. Every one of us should know what our starting line is. Some of us will have a higher footprint than others. Don't condemn yourself for having a high footprint. It's just where we all start. The important thing is not where we start. The important thing is that we commit to reducing that carbon footprint. The questions that will be asked of you will also be very helpful because they will already indicate to you where you can reduce your carbon footprint.
Climate change used to be something that was separated from us by time. It was supposed to happen in the future, but we're already seeing continents burning. Australia has burned with 500 million animals lost, many endemic species. The Amazon has been on fire. California, the Arctic. These are early signs, and this is just going to get worse if we don't get on top of it. Getting on top of it means that we need to be at net zero well before 2050. If we are not, then temperature rise will go beyond 1.5 degrees. And what will happen is the climate of the planet will spin out of control and we will lose the ability to have any impact on this, even if we reduce emissions. That's the nightmare scenario that we need to avoid. So to get there, we need to halve emissions, 50% less than they are right now by 2030. After that, we need to be at net zero as soon as possible, ideally by 2040, but certainly by 2050. Those are the decades we have. No one else is going to do this. If this is going to be done, if it's going to be successful, or if it's going to be a failure, it's going to be us that does it. If we think about our footprint in a 10-year time frame, that's enough time to do this, right? That 10-year period will probably encompass a whole range of changes in the capital intensive items of your life. Most emissions will come from a boiler, they'll come from a car or a furnace or something like that. And many of those items will be replaced within a 10-year time frame anyway. So thinking about it in that slightly longer time frame gives you a chance to kind of make different decisions when those big capital intensive investments come up.
You can also be much more mindful about our transport, whether it's by land or by air or maritime. One thing that we have learned now with this coronavirus epidemic is that maybe we don't need to transport ourselves as much as we think is necessary. Maybe we actually do much more telecommuting for our daily work or even for meetings.
I mean, who knew that we would get a chance to see whether the world can shift to telecommuting so quickly? But what's amazing is we've seen an unprecedented transition as a result of the pandemic, that people have had to stay home, they've had to make telecommuting work. Much of our work can carry on engaging remotely. So for the vast majority of us who live in Europe or North America, our footprint will mainly consist of two things. If we get on a plane, it will be that and what we eat. The amount of emissions that goes into producing meat is huge. So beef is the worst culprit, but pork and chicken and lamb are all part of that too. Now, we can all make a difference. If we aren't yet ready and prepared to give up meat or go plant-based, which is very good for your health and you feel better on it, which I can personally attest to, then you can just stop eating it either 1 day a week or 2 days a week or one meal a day. Try and add more meals in your life that are vegetarian, that are plant-based. It'll make a difference to how you feel, and it will make a big difference to the planet.
You can also look at the energy that you're using. Are you wasting energy? And all of us, I promise, all of us waste energy, but we leave things on longer than they need to. We turn lights on in one room and then we leave and we don't turn it off. So we can all be much more energy efficient.
So while none of us can leave our homes, one thing that's really worth doing is trying to figure out where the emissions from your home come from. That's actually pretty easy to do. You can find all kinds of websites that will give you direction, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do either yourself or by engaging with those companies that provide you with services to reduce your emissions. I mean, one basic thing you can do is if you live in a home that has drafts, you can go around even right now and close off those drafts. It can make a massive difference to your energy bills. The other thing you can do is actually talk to your suppliers and find out if they can provide you with a renewable energy tariff. If they can't, there are certainly others in the competitive landscape who can do that, and increasingly you don't even have to pay any more.
You can also be much more mindful of which companies are you actually buying goods and services from. There are companies that are being much more responsible on climate and others that are being much more irresponsible. The force and the strength of consumers and clients is very strong. Hopefully you are voting with your wallet. We have unfortunately grown up in cultures that are based on irresponsible consumerism, and consuming more than we need is not helpful to us and certainly not helpful to the planet. So we have to learn when enough is enough.
Right now, we can't leave our homes, but there's a huge amount that we can do. So I would encourage everybody who's at home to participate in digital strikes, which are already and still going on, and also to use this moment to find out who your elected representative is and make your voice heard. We all have a few minutes now that we're home. That will make more of a difference than you realize. Most elected representatives never hear from their constituents about climate change. Let's change that while we're all under lockdown.
Don't be afraid to engage in politics. Don't be afraid to engage. It's very important to plant the flag of where we know we have to go and what we want for our future. One of the mindsets that we talk about in the book is stubborn optimism. And what we mean by that is that while it is absolutely understandable that we are all in deep grief about the losses that we are seeing, and while it is very understandable that we get angry about the fact that the decisions are not being made quickly enough, it is also very important to not allow that anger and that grief to drop us into a hole of hopelessness and helplessness. Because if we allow ourselves to drop into that hole, we are not being helpful to the transition that we have to make. So our suggestion is certainly to honor that grief, to honor that anger, which we also partake in, but at the same time, be courageous enough out of the anger and out of the grief to play your part. So I invite all of you to become members of a growing family of stubborn optimists around the world.